Okay, so let's get started here. Uh, so this is a project that I've been working on, uh, and I'll just show you the basics of uh, level design and blueprinting uh, for level design in Unreal 4. So just like quick overview of stuff that you'll probably want to know. First of all, you might notice that this looks very weird. Like the colors are all really muted, and um, the screen is kind of grainy, and weird, weird stuff is going on with the look of this, the whole aesthetic. What that is the post-process volume. You can control the entire look of an entire level with a single post-process volume, where it controls the uh, like the temperature of the colors, the tint of the colors. So you can see this is it without that weird temperature value, um, and so you can. This is a lot of fun to play around with, just to like set up your whole look of things, and yeah, so play around with that stuff. Just that's something that is really that will immediately set you apart from other games and levels and things. And make sure you uncheck, uh, uh, or you can basically this value is very important. If it's unbound, then it affects everything in the level, in the map. If it's not unbound, then it is all self-contained within this cube volume. Um, so you can have multiple post-process volumes if you want to have multiple looks for things all around the place. You can do that. You can do anything you want. But yeah. So we're going to let's see here. So generally, what I use to like look around in Unreal 4 is, you'll hold down the right mouse button, you can look around, and then WASD moves the like viewport perspective view of things. And if you like what you're looking at, like, whoa, look at all this stuff. This is some cool things here. We can just like create a camera right here. Poop. Camera. Right there. Just looking at that stuff. So that's great too. But like, you might be asking yourself, like, whoa, what about the stuff? Like, I'm starting with like an empty level. I don't have anything to show. Well, you can grab some starter content stuff, or just import models and things, and get started with some basic shapes, maybe. So the starter content, by the way, is like when you create a new project, it'll ask you, do you want to include the starter content? Yeah, I generally do that just in case, like, maybe I want to use some of this stuff. I don't know. Let's throw this in here. This is a whole wall. So yeah, you just drag and drop it in. If you're familiar with Maya, you know the like how the movement thing works, and you press E to rotate, R to scale. So yeah, if you're familiar with Maya, you also know like the V. Hold down the V key to vertex snap it, so you get precise placement of things. And so that's like super basics. I guess you need lights too and stuff. So yeah, for lights, you have a few options. I generally use point lights and spotlights for things. Now, when you drag it in, it's going to be like super bright. You have it set at like 5,000 intensity. I mean, it depends on what your post-process volume is set at, but like, because the post-process volume controls the bloom and how bright lights generally are, and things, like a general setting for like the general brightness of the world of the map. But like, so yeah, just play around with that. You can change the color, set the mood, the attenuation radius, how far it affects things. Yeah, all this stuff. You can control if it casts shadows, in case you're afraid of your shadow. All that. And so that's the point light. Spotlight. It behaves like a spotlight would if you're an actor, a thespian. You might be familiar with these. It's the same, all the same properties. It's just a light shining down rather than radiating out in the sphere. But you can control like the look of it with the IES textures, which I don't know if these generally come with the starter content or if I put these in myself later. But look up, like, or do a Google search for IES textures if you want like unique looking spotlights. Like this looks like a UFO just magically appeared in the kitchen. That's kind of cool. But anyway, that's that. Skylight is like controlling like the sky. It's like the sun. It's basically what it is. Usually, it's more for to simulate the sun and outdoorsy light coming in. And also for that, you can use a directional light. Directional light is like a much more. It's like a spotlight, sort of. But I don't know. I don't usually use these. I generally stick to point lights or spotlights. But if you want like the sun coming in, you would use a combination of the skylight with a directional light. The directional light takes the place of the sun, and then like this thing is like ambient, outdoorsy light, I think. Yeah. And whoa. Yeah, okay. Sorry, I'm like installing the newer version of Unreal. Yeah, where's my mouse? Where did it go? There we go. Okay. Where the fuck is my mouse? Sorry, hang on. Okay. Okay, wait. Do we have the mouse back? Yes, okay. Where was I? So those are lights. And yeah, oh, by the way, we've got some geometry, basic geometry up here. If you don't have the starter content, you can still just grab stuff out here, some boxes and things, and work from there. These are BSPs, so these aren't static meshes. The starter content are all static meshes. The difference is that static meshes are what's generally used. I mean, again, if you know Maya and stuff, you know this, I'm sure. But just to point out what BSPs are like, they're more like the engine is figuring out what the shape is, like at runtime. So, like, it's a bit more computationally heavy. So you want to replace all these with static meshes when you actually go to like ship your game. But it's good for gray boxing your level because they're much more customizable. Like, for example, you can say, hey, I want this box to be hollow. And then it can be like, oh, cool. So now I can go inside of it. And you can go inside the box. You can go outside the box, or you can go inside the box. Or outside the box, or inside the box. And it's hollow. It's nice. If it's not hollow, see, you can't really go inside the box. You're like, where is the box? You're technically in the box, but there's no inner walls. And anyway, you got it additive, or it can be subtractive. If it's subtractive, yeah, you might notice you don't see it except for like the outline. But that's because you can, so we, like, hold on, we'll like duplicate it, which is Control W, and you might think it's Control D, but it's not. It's Control W, and we shrink it down. This one. Okay, so see, we got these two boxes, and we make this one. We subtract it, and boom, we've got a hole in the box. So you can use this to make windows or hallways, and yeah, that's a really good way to do stuff, to build levels, to gray box your level design, to do that. That's really good. And like the same thing, the additive, subtractive, same thing can be done with the rest of this stuff. These are all BSPs. And you can later turn these into static meshes. So like your convert actor. Wait. Let me see here. Box brush. Yeah. Just trust me on that. I'll like figure it out for the next video, I guess. I never really do that, but I know you can. Oh, here it is. Found it. It's the button right here. Create static mesh. And when you do that, it's like, okay, where do you want to put the static mesh? And there you go, boom, all done within Unreal. So you don't even need to like export it into Maya. You could, and you probably should, in order to replace it with something that looks nice. But if you just want like to just really hit the ground running, then you can just do that. And so that's all like the very basic level design stuff. Except let's quickly go into some blueprint things. So generally speaking, you're gonna have a lot of your movement stuff within the first person, or within depending on the template you used, or if you didn't use a template, you can create a character blueprint and a controller blueprint. You need both of those to play as a character, which means like if you want any like kind of like interactivity, where you have an object that you control, whether it be a camera or whatever. I mean, I'm sure there are ways to not use those if you wanted to be a rebel or something, but that's generally the practice. If you want to like act as something in the world, you need a body and a mind. That's basically what those two things are. The character blueprint is like the body, and then the controller blueprint is like the mind. It's like the spirit within the body. Generally, you basically the controller is like assigned specifically to a player controller. So like, say it would be like a console game or something like that. Like there'll be like player one's controller, and then that can inhabit any character actor, which is like any body. So you can like hop bodies, like do the body hop, and it's like the bunny hop but with bodies. And so yeah, that's something you can do. So anyways, this is my first person. This is what I did to the first person character. I I added a bunch of stuff, and it's kind of messy. But I'll show you. This is what happens first. Begin play. Event begin play is the first event that happens, and so you right click, and you can go like, hey, I want a begin play, and you type it in, and you click it, and it creates this node, and you drag off, and when you drag off, it's like it creates a window like this where it's all context sensitive, so you can find out all the different things that can connect to it, or you can search for a specific thing. So what I did here was I started typing spawn, and I made like a spawn sound, and that just plays a sound. So it starts with like the sound of this thing, which is a sound file. You just this is like this can open up like any sound file that you've imported into the project, and set it as a variable. You can just like right click, promote the variable, and boom, creates a variable. And then so when you do that, when you spawn sound 2D, it like plays it right then and there. There's different ways to go about playing audio, but this is like the most basic. And then so ignore this thing. This is not even used. I can delete this if I wanted to. You can tell it's not used because the arrow is the path of execution, and it's not going into it. It's just going floop right past it. So we got set view target with blend, which we're taking the controller, and we're setting the new view target to the self, which is this character. We're saying, hey dude, we want to look through the eyes of this body. So so we're taking the controller, we're going, you go here. I mean, yeah, this is just the way I'm doing it. Again, not everybody has to do this. Depends on the project, and if you do like the basic, if you start off with a basic template, it does a lot of this. It does all this for you. But I didn't use that here. I don't think I did. No way I did. Anyway, I changed a lot of this stuff. And then, so that's generally how blueprints work. It's super simple. You can find like pretty much anything with this thing. For some general ideas of things that you want to have happen, you can have an input action, which is just like, this is if you hit the left arrow key. And so you can just do like input left, and you can do that from here. This is the left keyboard event. And it has like every computer keyboard thing, and it can even do like Steam controller or like gamepad controllers. But if you want to like do it, if you don't want to like hard code this specific button, you can do edit, project settings, and then go into input and action mappings, and you can call it something. You click the arrow key if you want to make a new thing. There's a jump button, but I don't even have jumping in this game, so I don't even know why it's there. But you can have a jump. You just say jump, and then you click this plus button, and you say what button you want it to be on. You can have multiple buttons that this thing is tied to, and then when you do that, you can just right click and say, yo, I want to jump, and then it'll be the action event, jump. Yeah, jump. And you can press. You have to press. You can press the when you press the button, you can use this one, or you can go unreleased when you let go of the button. That's that. So yeah, the input axis. So those are action mappings, or keys, or buttons. Axis mappings are like mouse axis or analog sticks. And so this is just like generally like how you would look in a game. And this is okay, and then a branch is a very basic thing that you would use a lot of. They're basically if statements, and this is a variable. This is a boolean, and they're red. Booleans are red. The different variables are color coded, but yeah, you create variables over here. You can press the variable button. The default is the new boolean, but and you can rename it something. And just drag it off in here, and we can set it or get it. You get it? It's just like, yo, we got this variable. We got you covered. We got you, bro. Or we can go over here and go set it, and you can set it like, yeah, true, or false, and or you can set it to some other other variables value sets this variable's value. Just drag off and connect the thing to the dock. Yeah. So if it's true, we go here and we say, hey, we want to add a y'all input from the southern dialect to the mouse. So we grab off the axis value and we multiply it by a base turn rate that we can control. This is some arbitrary value that we can multiply it by, and then get world delta seconds is the seconds of gameplay time, the actual seconds. It factors in the frame rate and stuff, so it works that way. So it just controls it so it's consistent in case the game is slowing down, or if somebody has a super fast computer that's super duper fast and really advanced. Maybe they're aliens. I don't know how they got hold of this technology that's so advanced, but anyway, that's my theory and I'm sticking to it. So we can add that. We can set that as the value for the y'all. And if it was false, we would drag off the false. But why would you want to do anything with the false right here? But you don't have to. So yeah, this is basically saying if there is, if you can do input, then do the freaking input. If you can't do the input, then maybe you want to be yo, print, and it'd be and the print is a good debugging thing, and just prints a message, and you would see it in the top left corner of the screen. You'd be hello, or you can write your own message in there. And okay, what else is some good stuff? Again, template, the basic first person or third person template has this too, but I'll explain some of it. This is the event tick. This happens all the time. This is just just firing away like crazy. So that's just every frame. It's just going boom, 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 boom. And so you don't want to have a lot of stuff reliant on the tick, because it's just every freaking it's just happening constantly. You don't want to do that. You're just gonna slow down your game. But for some things looking, a line trace, you want to make sure they got that on the tick. So this is just basically just seeing where you're looking, what you're looking at, because the game is always watching you, like the government. And so it knows what you're doing and thinking all the time. So yeah, this is going by the this is setting the start location of where the line is shooting from, the specific spot is a location, which is a vector. So what's going on right here is we got the first person camera, which is the camera of the character, and which I'll show you how to add the camera to the character and just add things to the character if you in a second. But we would drag off that and say, hey, get the world location, and that's how you got that. Drag off that, put the start, and then we add the forward vector, which is just I'm looking forwards from this, just the spot of the first person camera, but it's looking forwards. Then we multiply that by 1,000, just to shoot like 1,000 centimeters forwards. Because all of this would be in centimeters, because Unreal Engine 4 is in centimeters. So then we add that to the start, and we get the end. So we're just shooting from one point to another point. And then the trace channel will be visibility. You can set it to camera, or you can add other channels to the game if you want in the edit project settings. But generally, you're going to use visibility for a lot of things. And trace complex. You don't really need it to be that accurate. It slows down stuff. Don't do that. You don't need to do that. Yeah, I only do that if you really want to do that. I don't recommend doing that. Actors to ignore. This is a list of stuff that you're like, yo, just ignore this shit. Draw debug time. You can basically it's like shows you where it's looking. It like actually shows it in the game. Like it just shoots like a red line. So you can do that for one frame or for a specific amount of time, or just keep that, just keep it. And you can ignore it. Make sure it like ignores itself if you want. If you are worried about it like hitting itself because it's, I don't know, masochistic, then you can do that to get it to stop doing that. And then you grab off the hit, and you break the hit results. And so this gives you everything about that. It gives you the baby's mama and the DNA type and all sorts of info, that like the social security number, all this stuff that you probably don't even want or need to know. But it gives you all that stuff right here. So we say if it's a blocking hit, if it's like, does this thing that it hit have collision on it? If true, then do stuff. If not, then okay, do other stuff. We can get the time of the impact. So you don't really need that. I'm not going to go through all the whole list. But like, yeah, you can see it's all pretty self-explanatory. The hit actor is the thing itself. And so you generally use that a lot. Or you can use the hit component, which is the thing within the actor. So actors are the blueprints, it'd be like the character. It's like the body, it's like the thing itself. The component is the specific, is a thing within the thing. So you might have noticed this add component button, and I talked a little bit about how you add cameras earlier. I said I would talk about it anyways. So this is how you do that. You would see, this is like a list of all the stuff you can add to it. So you can add like collision or whatever. And type on a camera. So there's camera and Cinecamera. Cinecamera just has like more options and stuff. I just use camera because camera's fine. And you can rename it. And generally you would set all of that up right here. So that's the event graph, is the blueprint stuff. Viewport is the thing where you can look at it. So this is the camera that we just put in. There's a camera already, but this is the new one that we just put in. And you can, all the same controls apply to it. And you can set its location here, rotation, scale. These are all values that are reliant on itself. These aren't world values. This isn't the world location because it's not in the world. It's in itself. We're inside of its body. Okay, this is the body location. Just think of it like that. That's not really what it's called. It's called local. Okay, there's world location, local location, and same with all the other stuff. So like, that's just generally how you would think about it. Okay. So if like you wanted to say, so just don't get those two mixed up, because you'll get some weird values. Like the things just won't be where you want them to be. So if you're generally placing things in the world, you want to use world location. If you want to like move this a little bit, relative to itself than you would use its local values. Anyway, construction script is stuff that gets launched and set in place like immediately, whereas event graph is stuff that gets set in place when you play the game. This is like right within the editor, so you can like set different custom things like locations of things and stuff within this, and it just gets fired first. It's just like the most immediate thing if you want something to happen like right away, but like before it even begin play. This happens like right now. Like you can set something in this, and it would just like you would see the result right here. You wouldn't have to click the play button or play or launch to see that result, which you would have to do if you were on begin play or anything else in EventGraph. Yeah. Okay, so those are basic things. I think I'll make another video to go into how to set up an interaction, but maybe you can already see what I'll just go into it, screw it, it's only like a few nodes. But, so to interact with something, oh no, it's a whole system. I'll do it in the next video. Sorry for the teaser, I don't mean to tease ya, but that's what I'll do in the next one, because it's a lot of stuff, okay? It'll take me like maybe like another 10 minutes or something to tell you about all that, or how to get these things to rotate. I'll talk about that too. All right. Sayonara.